All right. Welcome to another episode of the AMP podcast. Today, I am sitting here with none other than Hannah Zirkle. She is our Director of Personal Training. Coach Hannah has now over 5 years of experience working with our clients here at AMP. She's actually, she started all the way back pre-COVID in 2019 as an intern. And she's worked her way all the way up to be the Director of Personal Training. And she has done an amazing job growing our program, helping adults over 40, moms and dads that are, struggling to get back into shape. And she's got a wealth of experience and knowledge that she's going to share today. And today we're going to be talking about the longevity blueprint. And I think it's an amazing topic to speak about because it seems as though it's really starting to get into the media where people are talking about longevity, how to train, how to, get strong, get fit after 40, especially with people that are, challenged by having enough time and being able to balance everything. Myself included, as I get a little bit older, I've got 2 kids now. I'm 39, turning 40 this year. Or next year in a couple of months. So I'm starting to recognize some of the challenges as well. And that's what we're going to talk about today is how to get over those challenges, how to prioritize your time, how to, prioritize the things that you're doing once you're in the gym without wasting time, time and energy, and doing it safely and getting the results and the effect that you're looking for. So welcome.
Thank you. It was a long drive to get here, but
yeah,
thank you for having me.
She walked over right from the turf, right up into the office. And so here we are. So yeah, I think, let's start it off really just talking about some of the things that you've heard. Now you've probably seen thousands of clients over the last 5 years. Right now we have, right around 300 total clients in this location. About 180, 190 adult clients that we've been training. Everyone with individualized programming. Hannah assesses every single one of them. And really the beginning of the process is more of an interview, more of a, understanding of where they are, what their strengths and weaknesses are, the things that they're struggling with. So what are some of the common things that you're hearing from the adults that are coming in the door? Really some of them may be starting a workout program for the first time in their entire lives.
Yeah, I mean, definitely seeing a lot of faces come through the door, but for the most part, everyone that we're seeing is dealing with very similar situations. You're getting a little bit older, you're realizing that now, and your body is starting to catch up to you. I'm sure going
Yeah.
on 40.
Yeah. Let's not go there.
But you're transitioning to a new period of life. Like your parents are getting older, your kids are probably out of the house soon. So it's a lot of changes going on in their environment. There's a lot of changes going on with their bodies. Body fat is starting to distribute in different places. Chronic diseases are going to become a lot more prevalent with this population. And just mentally, it's tough to make some different challenges and prioritize themselves, really.
Yeah, I think that's the major shift in the mindset of a parent because, especially, myself, I'm starting to realize this myself. As a young coach, you don't really recognize the challenges that people are going through. In your early 30s and mid 30s, when you have really young kids, you shift all of your priorities to them. And, making sure that they're being fed, that they're eating, that they're sleeping on time. And really you put yourself second, third, or fourth even, in the line of priority. So as kids start getting a little bit older, as they start to be a little bit more self-sufficient, you start to realize that, these adults are starting to come back to us and saying, prior to kids or in my 20s or even early 30s, I was able to prioritize my health. I was able to work out on my own and, or maybe they were part of a gym very similar to ours. But, I think it has way more to do with, thinking that they're being selfish and thinking that they're not, worthy of the time that they have to really put all their time into work, into, being a parent. But, what is, how have you kind of helped these people realize how important putting themselves first is? And we can kind of walk through a little bit about what it looks like, because I think that it just seems like such a large commitment to most people. And when you actually show them what it takes to get results, it's probably a lot less time and a lot simpler than they originally thought. So, what are some ways that we've been able to help people get that habit started back up again?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely hear the selfish comment a lot here. Like, most people are coming in, they haven't worked out 5, 10 years, and it's been a while since they stepped foot in a gym, and it's just
Definitely.
because they have really put themselves last on the totem pole. And what they don't really realize is that they'll be so much better able to serve the people that they want to if they have put themselves and their health and gotten that in check first. So that's kind of the conversation I have with everyone is you are going to be able to better serve and better help everybody that you care about if you can make sure that you're taken care of first, and making sure that you have the energy, and that you're fueled to help these people all day long, and that you're even mentally able to focus on these people anymore. And then the other part is if you ask any of your family members that you're helping, if you ask them if they wanted you to prioritize your own health, they would all say yes. So it's
Yes.
kind of like you have to convince yourself it's okay to take an hour of your day 3 times a week. Like it doesn't have to be a crazy amount of time. Like nobody's spending 2 hours in the gym 7 days a week here. I don't even do that. I don't
Right.
suggest it. So just we'll make whatever works for you and your schedule to get started, and then we'll take it from there.
Definitely. And I think, you know, then it comes down to, all right, so you've committed and you've made up your mind that you're going to join a gym. You're going to do something. You're going to work out, whether it's at home or at a gym. Um, I think that one of the major things that's underestimated is the amount of strength that you lose and the amount of muscle mass that you lose as you age. And I think that that's something that, again, in media, in the news, you're hearing a lot more about, specifically about strength training and the importance of strength training in order to live longer, live a better life, live a longer life. And there's a lot of studies and a lot of data coming out now that relate everything to the amount of muscle mass that you have as you age, and that is directly correlated to how long you live and how good you live, right? It's not just about living longer, it's living a better life, a more active life, more specifically with leg strength. So I think that that's one of the major things that people might be a little bit afraid of in the beginning because maybe they've never strength trained before. They feel that that's something that is a scary thing to start, or that they've done it in the past and they've gotten hurt. So they kind of shy away from it. So what are some of the ways that we're able to kind of introduce this different type of training? And what are kind of like the dosage that you really need? What is the dose of training, of strength training that you really need in order to see some results?
Yeah, so honestly, when people come in for the first time, we really spend a good amount of time getting to know them, and what exactly is going to fit for their schedule, their lifestyle, considering other factors like what type of job do they have? Is it active? Is it sedentary? Like what is really going to be the best dosage for them to see results and then also stay healthy long term. So for the most part, most people that come into the door, I like to get in 2 to 3 days, ideally 3 days a week of strength training. And again, our sessions are 45, 50 minutes long. It's nothing crazy here. And then we do suggest 1 to 2 days a week of cardio or conditioning. And then we're always just encouraging outside movement during the day. So
Hmm.
it's not, you can't just show up to the gym a couple times a week. Like there does have to be some homework on the outside of this, which I do let everybody know. But that's pretty much the dosage that we are recommending. And then from there, we're taking it at everybody's pace. Like it doesn't matter if you've never strength trained a day in your life. It doesn't matter if you're coming back from a horrible injury that we need to work around. It doesn't matter if you have been a college athlete and you've been strength training your whole life. We meet everybody where they're at. So you could be working out next to a person that is doing a safety bar split squat, and right next to you is someone doing maybe a split squat iso hold. So wherever each individual is at is where we will take it.
Definitely. And I think, even just treating each person like an athlete, right? Like that's essentially what this business was founded on, was, the tagline, train like an athlete. And I think that's another thing that maybe was scaring some people away early on, but now more and more, with the likes of, people like Dr. Peter Attia that you're seeing on 60 Minutes, taking the reporter through an entire longevity assessment that has to do with grip strength, with body composition, just basic strength measurements that really correlate. They're not just doing it just to do it. They're doing it because it scientifically correlates with longevity. It correlates with, just again, happiness, a better life, being more active. If you're someone that's more sedentary, you're not going to be able to do the things with your family like you would in
Mhm.
your later age, later stage in life. Your 50s, your 60s, your 70s, all the way up into your 80s and 90s. We have some clients that are in their 80s and 90s, still working out, still strength training, and their vitality is inspiring,
Yeah.
and
They're not
that's
messing around.
yeah. I mean, that's we could obviously talk about some of our clients that have just defied time and logic. But I think that that's really the major thing that again that has shifted. And you know even my own training has changed because of that. In the beginning when I was an athlete, training for football, and then after that still thinking I was a football player, but really training a specific way just to you know put as much weight on the bar and be as strong as possible. You start to realize, like, as you get older, that's not necessarily the goal. There's a minimum effective dose, right? What is the minimum strength training that you need? And then you build a little bit from there. And let's discuss a little bit more about kind of like the difference between going to a place and just working out versus actually training.
Ooh, love that.
What is the difference? I guess some people might not even understand like really what the difference is. But let's discuss a little bit about the process of what training is versus just going and working out.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, people that come in and I ask them, like, what have you been doing in the past? If you've been to the gym before, and they're like, oh, did a chest day, did a bicep day, and, change it up every time because you need to surprise the muscles. And I'm like,
Muscle confusion.
oh,
That was a thing back in the
I'm
day.
also confused by that, but
Yes.
okay. But training is when we have a specific plan, and we're following that plan from anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks at a time. Because our goal is every time you step in the door, we're gonna do the same thing, but each time we're gonna get 1% better. That's what we like to say here. So that's why every time that our clients come in, they're tracking everything. We want to see either the reps are improving, the weight's improving, maybe our form is improving that week, or maybe they came in one week and they slept funny and their back hurt, and now we need to change their entire program out that day. We're logging all that because we want to see what is actually happening in their program. It's not randomized at all. We're trying to pick the exercises that are going to be the best suited for them, their needs, and hopefully make their lives outside of here improve.
100%. And that, correlating their goals, to living a better life. I think that's something that people kind of put fitness in a box, and it's just a thing that they need to do. But they don't necessarily understand the amount of ways or the different ways that it affects your life. When it comes to your energy, when it comes to, like, I've heard as simple as being able to turn over your shoulder when you're driving to change lanes. That was something I never thought when I was in my 20s that we would be, affecting people's lives in such those little things that really become big things that you start to gain more confidence in everyday life. So I guess where I'm getting at is how do we help people kind of set better goals? Because we talk about the five C's, but really the first three being committed, coachable, and consistent. So being committed, it needs to be bigger than I need to lose weight or I want to lose weight. It needs to be bigger than, oh, I just want my clothes to feel better. How do we get them to the point where they truly understand what maybe the deep down reason why they want to lose the weight? But then also being able to tie that to their everyday consistency of training, right? Because I think sometimes it's hard. You lose sight of the fact of as to why you started.
Mhm.
Why what was the low point where you just got so frustrated and you just said, "All right, that's it. I have to figure out I need to get my shit together. I need to, get back on track. I need to get healthy." What are some of the questioning or some of the things that we do in part of the process? And then also, like, how do we remind our clients of why they started and why it's so important to stay consistent?
Yeah, I mean, I take things probably a little step further because they might not even realize, but I'm already thinking like 20 years from now, where are you gonna be like? I'll ask that question pretty much every consult is like, what do you want to do 20 years from now? Like, what kind of life are you trying to live? And they'll be like, oh, I didn't really think about that.
Right.
I'm like, well, do you want to sit in a wheelchair? Or do you want to be able to walk around? Like, do you want to take care of yourself, or do you see yourself in a nursing home? Like, what are we thinking? And they're like, oh my gosh, like these are really good questions to know. And I'm like, yeah, like these are things you need to start talking about. Like, this is not that far away. Like, do you want to rely on people, or do you want to be able to take care of yourself? So I kind of like to back it up from almost like end of life thinking and take it
Hmm.
from there, and we'll say, okay, what can we start doing today to start thinking about that? And that's how my programming goes based off that.
That's amazing. And I think it goes hand in hand with thinking about like investing for retirement, right? It's,
Yes.
financially, what do you need to do to be able to retire comfortably? You need to consistently invest.
Mhm.
It's the same thing with strength training. If you're not consistently making a deposit at the gym into your health, you're just taking withdrawals. So every day that goes by that you didn't challenge your body starts to erode and your strength starts to go down. And I think the numbers are it's about 1% of muscle mass is lost after the age of 40 if you don't strength train. And that's on average. So you could be losing a little bit even more than that. So if male or female, most frames anywhere between, let's say, 70 and 100 pounds of muscle. So that's anywhere between 1 to 2, maybe even as much as 2 pounds of muscle lost every year after 40 on average. So you have to fight against that,
Yeah,
right? And the main thing to do, obviously, is strength train. Obviously, there's nutrition is really, really important. Most people are not eating enough protein. And they're probably not just, in general thinking about it enough to really make a lasting change. Um, but, again, when we talk about longevity, I think that's kind of it's a large topic, but it can be you can really kind of have a hard time prioritizing what the most important thing is. And I think
for
that
sure. There's so much out
strength,
there.
if we had to pick one thing, it's strength, right? It's
Muscle.
muscle mass and grip strength. Specifically, grip strength has been correlated to, if you listen to Dr. Peter Attia, read his books, he's an amazing wealth of knowledge, and I think it's awesome with the service that he's doing to our community and to our, just in general to our population that we work with. But grip strength is directly correlated to lifespan,
Mhm.
as well as lower body leg strength. So, those are two things that we challenge on a regular basis, and we also make sure that we're staying healthy because injuries are another way that people you know, start to fall apart as you get older. If you're
For sure.
constantly getting hurt and not knowing how to either work around an injury or work back from an injury, the stopping and starting is really what screws people up, and it's the thing that I think we do a pretty good job. Injuries are inevitable, whether it's in life or inside of the gym. We do our best to keep the gym the safest environment possible. But that's why it's so important to be working with a coach and working with someone that understands the importance of dosage, right? Challenging with the appropriate amount of weight, with the appropriate type of exercise. And I think that that's something, that we do a pretty good job with. And, making sure that if the weight on the bar is too heavy, we tailor it back. And if they're not challenging themselves enough, we're encouraging them to do so, right? In a safe way. And I think that that's something probably a lot of our clients find, unique in that they've never really been pushed before. Maybe
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that injury is inevitable, because really we can do our best to reduce injuries, but at some point, you know, we had a client last week. She was walking, she fell,
Yeah.
she fractured her kneecap.
Ooh, that's no fun.
And guess what? She's coming and she's doing upper body day. We're doing
And
a lot
work
of
around
seated
it. Yeah, yeah.
exercises.
Doing nothing is the worst
Yeah.
option.
No,
And
honestly,
yeah.
one of the things that I can say that AMP does amazingly is that we will work around anything. There is
Mhm.
almost zero reason for anybody to stop training when they're injured, even with back injuries. For the most part, we can work around anything with the clearance from doctors, obviously. But there's no reason that anyone has to stop working out for 6 months on a time. I can't stand when doctors put things out there like, don't pick anything more than 5 pounds up for 6 months and
Right.
stay in bed. I'm like, have you met these people? Like, we just lifted like 50 pounds last week and now she can't pick up a pen off the floor. Like,
Right.
it's just a little frustrating in that sense. But again, like convincing the clients that they can trust us and that we are having their best interests in mind. And all we want to do when someone gets injured is maintain. There's no reason
Yes.
that we need to come in and push someone to their full extent. We want them to recover while basically maintaining muscle mass at the same time. There's no reason why you can't do that under injury.
Yeah. I think, especially, you know, you injure your right shoulder. You've got three other limbs that are healthy. And there's ways to do it safely. I think that that's something that a lot of people, it's like an all or nothing.
Hmm.
It's, oh, this hurts, so I'm just not going to do anything. And myself included, I've gone through a lot of injuries that are, have come back. And, the times that I've kind of given up and not done anything, I take 10 steps backward. And all I had to do was stay consistent with something, right? And that's, working with a coach, we're here to find what you can do.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, if you have a coach on your team, like,
Yeah,
it's easy to get into that mindset of, oh, I have to stop everything. Like, I can't do anything. But if you have someone that knows what they're doing and can take you where you need to be safely, like, 100% do that.
exactly. And I think that also just understanding like the concept of stress, right? And as you get older, you've got work stress, life stress, family stress, all types of things. And understanding that sometimes we think that if we're stressed out in life, that doesn't affect our workouts and that doesn't affect like what we can do inside of the gym. But I think that you kind of lead yourself down a path of injuries and constantly piling on. So sometimes we need to convince our clients that it's not about doing everything. It's not about being, pushing the heaviest weight or being, working out 6 days a week or being as extreme as possible. Sometimes it's about maintaining something that is sustainable
Yeah.
long term, right? So how do we balance, the busy adult, the busy parent, somebody that might be dealing with some injuries, might be dealing with, stress inside and outside. What are some of the ways that we're able to help those clients, through specific times? I know we have like accountants. So like whenever, tax season comes around, they're working until 10, 11 o'clock at night, so is it healthy for them to wake up at 4:15 to get to the gym at 5? Or, do we want to actually pull back at certain times of the year so that we can that we can sustain and do these things long term?
Yeah. Would I like to say that it's easy to get in all your workouts at all points of the year? Yeah. But for realistically, it's not that easy for most people that have busy jobs like that. We do train a lot of CEOs. We train people that travel all the time. Like,
Hmm.
it's not realistic for them to get into the gym consistently all the time, but we do have plans in place. We do a lot of travel programs where people can take our workouts to the gym at the hotels that they're with at them. Let's say our accountants are going into busy season. We do usually ask them to drop back, not only for the purposes of them not being able to show up, but in their mindset, they're like, I can't get here all the time. Like, I'm missing all these sessions. It's stressing them out even more. I'm like,
Right.
let's just drop it back. Like, if you can realistically only get here once a week, like, let's do that. And then on the days that you're not here, let's go for a 30-minute walk. Let's just move your body in whatever way it makes sense for you right now to, again, just maintain
Yes.
wherever we're at, because even working out once a week can still come out on the other end at the end of the
Yeah,
season.
especially if you're training full body, your
Mhm.
lower body, your core. Essentially, there's many different ways of training. The way that we
Mhm.
train here is mostly functional strength training. We're going to work total body just about every workout. We're going to focus on different movements and different body parts. But yes, if you train hard enough, if you challenge yourself once a week, can get you through your busy season and the times that at least you're maintaining.
Mhm.
But the minute you drop off from that once a week, it's literally only takes 2 weeks of no working out to feel like you've really been set back. So I think that there is that buffer of, if you're someone that likes to work out 4, 5, 6 days a week, you feel like you have to do that, but you really don't. What we don't want to see is you do 5 or 6 days a week, and that's unsustainable. you burn yourself out, you either get hurt or you become overwhelmed, and then that goes from 5 or 6 days to zero, right? So
Yeah.
we do want to find that happy medium, and a lot of the times, if you look at the entire year, instead of just looking day to day, I like to always set goals for myself or for our clients when it comes to like the amount of workouts you want to do. So I would say, for us, it'd be great if a client could average above 10 workouts a month, right? So that's 10 workouts times 12 months. It's 120 workouts, right? If you're able to sustainably do 120 workouts a year from the age of 40 until the day you die, I think you'll be doing
You'll be
pretty
all right.
well. But if you said, I need to work out 6 days a week, and then, you could do that in your 40s, but then in your 50s and 60s, you say, you know what, I can't do it anymore, or whatever it might be, then I would much rather take the person that works out 2 or 3 days versus the person that works out 6 days, because we want this to be something that's sustainable. We want them to be able to do it long term. And again, it doesn't take much more than 35 to 45 minutes a day. And we do like to talk about the things outside of the gym as well. The low intensity walks, a 10-minute walk, even, doing maybe a bike ride on the weekend, some extra, cardio.
Yeah, maybe
Um,
some rucking.
yeah, love the rucking. So
Love a good ruck.
love a good ruck. But again, it's finding, the ways to stay more active, later in life. And the more you challenge your body, the more your body will adapt. And we want to see those adaptations, stay as long as possible. And sometimes, yeah, if someone thinks that they have to go and run miles and miles to get in shape all the time, odds are that's not going to last very long. Your joints are going to break down over time. And, I think that that's something as well within our program. Let's talk a little bit about what the common misconception that if you want to lose weight, you have to do like these crazy intense cardio workouts every single day. The way that our program is built, we have most of our clients are training strength training 2 to 3 times a week. And then they're coming to one of our conditioning classes, another 1 to 2 times a week. And what is the importance of that? Why are we doing it that way? And why don't we do high intensity every day? What's the difference there?
Yeah, let's break that one down.
Yeah.
Let's see. Our priority number one is always going to be the strength training. If you cannot get in more than twice a week, then those 2 days are going to be strength training, because
Mhm.
that's number one important things that we're going to take care of here. We do add in the conditioning sessions. It's really for the longevity of that part. The conditioning is going to challenge your heart health. It's going to make sure that you are challenge yourself in all zones of your heart rates. And we're not just doing zone 2 all the time. Like, we do want to push your heart rate to the
Mhm.
top. We do want to take it slower some days. So with our conditioning sessions, we do um, prioritize all different things. Like, you're going to get challenged in all different ways every single time you come in. And that's what's going to put you in the best position for long-term heart health, is staying in different zones and challenging yourself that way.
Definitely. And I think, yeah, there's a lot of research around zone 2 training and zone 5 training. So zone 2 would be essentially like double your resting heart rate. So if your resting heart rate is around 60, we're talking about 120 to maybe upwards of 140 beats per minute. So if you're wearing a heart rate monitor or an Apple Watch or something like that, then you can kind of monitor how long you've stayed in zone 2. The recommendations are usually 2 to 3 hours per week. And then when it comes to the higher intensity, I think the studies are saying as little as 10 to 15 minutes a week when it comes to the higher intensity, which is like your
Honestly,
150,
you don't want to be there
160.
for that long.
No, you don't. And I find that a lot of like the common boot camp style and, conditioning style workouts really spend way more time in that higher intensity cardiovascular range. That it's not unhealthy, but it's not necessary. And you're never able to get the actual strength training effects, and the muscle gaining and maintaining effects, that most of the time, when the way that we're strength training, we're not, taking long rest periods in between exercises. So it is challenging cardiovascularly as well as muscularly while we're training. So I think that's a very important part of, the way that you train is really important. The exercises are important, but how well those movements are executed, as well as the pace at
Mhm.
which you're doing them. Because you could really challenge yourself on pace, by, the types of circuit training that we'll do. We'll have, an upper body exercise coupled with a lower body exercise or a core exercise, or, maybe something that's a little bit more challenging coupled with like a stretch or a band exercise. And I think that that's also something that is a little bit shocking to the system when you first start doing something like that, but you adapt to that type of training so quickly to the point where, you know, in my 30s, I'm joining classes with, men and women in their 50s and 60s, and they are running
Kicking your ass.
laps around me when it comes to their pace and the amount of weight that they're moving. Just incredible. Because they've been doing it for such a long time. And if you can adapt, if your body can adapt to something like that, um, it's really cool to be able to, to see how that affects their energy, their life, and all that. And they just, I mean, some of our clients are just in the best shape, just amazing in their 40s, 50s, and 60s.
22 now at this point.
It's amazing. And that's like, that's the thing. Like when you look at people that are doing it, that's something to look up to. That's really something to strive for. And again, we hear stories all the time that, they didn't realize how much it would affect them outside of the gym, about how many different improvements they found in their lives, the confidence of, wearing clothes that fit, the ability to kind of like run down a cab in the city, or, go up and down the stairs without pain. Like those are the little things, but they really, really add up, and they allow you to stay active, right? Because whether you're hurt or you're just kind of like out of shape and weak, you're going to do less. The less you do, the less you move. If you don't move it, you lose it. So you're going to lose your strength. You're going to lose your mobility. And I think, again, in your 20s and 30s, you don't really think about this. But then as you start to transition into parenthood and, later in your career, you start to realize like, wow, you start seeing people 10 years older than you and how, kind of beat up they look. And you're like, I don't want to be like that. I want to make sure that I have energy, vitality. I can keep up with my kids and eventually my grandkids. And again, it is the deposits that you make today that will be there for you when you're older, for sure. So, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about our assessment. Like, what are some of the things that we assess on day one? And then maybe walk us through one of our challenges or one of our like 30-day jump starts to a new client. What are some of the things that we're going to track? What are some of the things we assess? And what are the kind of like milestones that we look for just to make sure that we're on the right path, that we're moving toward building a healthy habit, getting the results we were looking for when we first started, and proving to ourselves as coaches and to the client that, yeah, this is working.
Yeah, so everyone does start with a consultation with myself or Coach Jess. And we always start off with just, basic information. What do you do for work? What kind of job is it? Does it require you to move outside of here? What time is going to be best for you to work out? What's your injury history? Is there anything we need to work around? Are they currently in any pain? Usually they'll forget one or two things, and
Mhm.
we'll find out later on.
Yep. Oh, by the way,
By the way,
had knee surgery last month. I forgot to tell
my
you.
elbow's broken.
Yeah.
um, and then we'll also take them through their in-body assessment. And the in-body assessment has been such a key part of the adult program, and like really seeing success here is that it's not just weight on the scale. It's really breaking down their weight into how much muscle they have, how much body fat do they have, what's their body fat percentage. We're looking at visceral fat, the fat around their organs, super important number for them. I'm explaining to them their basal metabolic rate. So at that point, we can kind of piece everything together, and they really get a good understanding of why they need to start strength training like 10 years ago.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's the rude awakening. You see some people kind of shy away from stepping back on the scale, at least. Maybe on day one, they don't really know what they're getting themselves into, so they hop on. And then maybe it comes time to where they're like, all right, we're going to jump on again. They're like, oh no, I haven't been following my diet. I've been, cheating on the
Okay, so
weekends.
most people are pretty excited for month one scan.
That's awesome.
Most people in month one, they do everything they need to do. Like we just had probably 6 amazing 1 month scans. We had a couple men lose about 10, 11 pounds of actual
Yes.
body fat, dropped 3 levels of visceral. We just had 2 women, best friends, join the gym. They both lost 7 plus pounds of body fat and lost visceral. Like, it was just crazy. So those
Amazing.
1-month scans usually go pretty well. Again, super motivated month 1.
And that's the important. We need to get the the process started. We need those small
Mhm.
wins,
It's that
right?
just that little jump start that everybody
Yes.
needs.
And the 30 days is important, right? And sometimes people don't understand then okay, it's not over,
Yes.
right? Like just because, yeah, we lost 10, 12 pounds. I mean, I've been seeing, the in-body scans, the results. I have, put together a presentation for the team later to kind of show some of the results that we've been getting, with our clients. And it's every day. It's every single day that we have an amazing scan, especially around the challenge times.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's, people come for the results in the beginning, right? What are some of the things that people don't understand about, joining a community like AMP, and understanding that maybe they might have lost those initial 10 pounds so quickly? It's like, okay, now what? There's a community that we've built here of like-minded people, coaches and,
Mhm.
and, and clients alike. But then also, how do we then transition to that more? Maybe it's more of a maintenance, or maybe it's a change of goal, right? Maybe it's more now we're focusing on building muscle mass or we're building strength in the gym. Because I think that is a little bit of a trap. The kind of like what we call them newbie gains,
Mhm.
when all of a sudden, you lose that 10 pounds, you're like, oh, great. What normally happens in that process?
It's
You
so funny,
take the
actually.
foot off the gas, and then what happens?
It's very common. Everyone will have a great scan, and then the next day, he'll take a day off. I'm like, "Oh, is that what we're
Yeah.
doing now?" Like, who
It's
gave
like, oh,
you
now I
that?
can just coast.
But no, that's a big reason why having the AMP community is such a big part of the rest of the success for everybody.
Yes.
And Peter T talks about it too, is the third part about longevity for him is emotional health and well-being and having those meaningful connections with people in your life. So when people come to AMP, we call it the AMP family here because it's not just myself and the other trainers here that care about everyone. There's people in your session that are going to know your name. They're going to know everything about you. You miss a session, they're going to be like, "Oh, where were you yesterday?"
Yeah.
And they're gonna be blowing up your phone on top of all the trainers here. So it's really building all the relationships in here to keep you motivated on track. And you'll come in here, maybe you had a bad scan one time, but someone next to you had a good scan, and they're like, "Oh man, I got to get back on my game. Like, what'd you do? How can you help me?" And everyone will start to push each other in that way as well. So the connections with the coaches and with the other members here is just so crucial to everyone staying successful long term. And honestly, a lot of people are pretty competitive in here. So
Yes.
our challenges, they're popping off these days. It's tough out there. But again, like everyone is coming from some of it is an athletic background here. And that's the chance for them to kind of push themselves and see what they can accomplish. And I do like now that we're kind of bringing in the team environment a little bit more for the challenges, which has been really fun to see.
Yes, that's been, you and Jess have been doing just an amazing, amazing job, bringing the energy and bringing that
Yeah,
experience for the client.
too much fun.
Yeah. And that's part of it. It needs to be fun, right? It can't just be this science-backed training approach that, everybody's a robot. So we have some healthy chop busting. We have some competitiveness in the environment. And yeah, I think that the friendships that people start to gain inside of the gym are the things that also keep them coming back, right? And that's essentially that's accountability. That's holding each other accountable in a playful way. But it actually is saving people's lives. It's actually making
Truly.
them healthier. And, it's always good to put yourself in a community of like-minded people that are going to pressure you to do the right thing, as opposed to pressure you to, or make you feel guilty about going to the gym or make you feel guilty about, you know, not having that extra piece of cake because someone else is having it, or, not going out to McDonald's when the whole family wants to go to McDonald's. And I think that's, having that support system inside the house and also outside the house is really important. And, John and I spoke a couple weeks ago about the amount of families that train together, and that, you know, the parents and children, or even, children, parents and grandparents all coming together in this gym, and again, like supporting each other, But then we've had so many people that have found their family inside
Mhm.
of what we call the AMP family, which is really special too. So, um, but I think that that's really a huge part about helping people see the long term commitment that it really takes. And when you come into the gym, there's so many of our clients that have been with us for years, and now it's like our probably average stay is probably over 2.5 years at this point with our clients, and it's just amazing to see that. And it really becomes, we've talked about the third place. It's a Starbucks thing that you have work, you have home, and then you have the gym, you have AMP. And hopefully you're not spending too much time at Starbucks these days, but it really, the events on the weekends, the family workouts that we have coming up this weekend. It's Thanksgiving week. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. This will probably be posted in a couple of weeks, but we've got our Saturday boot camp on Saturday morning. And those are really some of the things that create those special moments that, as coaches, yeah, we're excited about helping people lose weight. But seeing them achieve things, and, hearing the stories about, how much better they feel, and how much energy, and how we've essentially saved their lives. And that's what we do as coaches. And that's what makes our job so special, and so easy to show up every day, and,
Yeah.
and bring our best. But yeah, let's talk about, for someone that is maybe listening to this, maybe they're on our email list, maybe they just came across it on social media, or on YouTube. And let's, for someone that's maybe a little intimidated about getting started, or, just hasn't trained in years, doesn't really know where to start. What's the first step that person should take if they're listening to this right now? And what is the first thing that we do if someone's interested, in getting started somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, first thing is just reach out. Like, if you don't know where to start, find a professional, find someone who actually knows what they're doing. When you're sick, you go find a doctor to help solve your problems. It's the same thing when you're out of shape and you're not feeling too good. Go find a trainer, find someone that can actually help you solve your problems. And don't be afraid to reach out. Honestly, like we are in this industry because we want to genuinely help people. That's why everyone here at AMP is so successful, is because our trainers care so much about every single person that walks in the door. Whether you're a newbie and you've never even walked into a gym before, like we're gonna do our best to make you feel the most comfortable here.
Absolutely. And yeah, really the first step for us is, find one of our links, link in our bio, message us here on whether it's Instagram or YouTube. And we just set up a phone call, just show up on time to the call, and we'll ask you, all the questions that we might have. We'll guide the conversation. We really want to listen. We want to hear, where you're coming from. What is it that you've tried in the past? What are you frustrated with? What are you currently dealing with? We want to really get down to the reason that you want to work out, and why, you reach out to us in the first place. And again, it might, that phone call might end with just a quick conversation, and we never get started, or it might start with you coming in for that consultation. And we sit down again. It's an extension of that conversation. We do get some data, and then we explain the process. We really sit down and we kind of review your schedule. We review, when and where you should work out, the times of the day that are best, the amount of times that we'd like to see you. Even outlining what you should be doing at home, some of your nutrition, recommendations. And again, we're here as the guide. We're just here to guide the process, and encourage and keep you motivated and accountable to yourself, to the goals that you've set. And then, the process starts from there. So, yeah, do you have any other last things, any last
Yeah,
you know uh
give some
pointers for anybody, especially, those over 40? We found that, that really is the age group that really appreciates this type of training the most. And, not to say that if you're 39 or you're 29 that you can't train here. But it's especially the type of training that we do here, and the amount of assessment and customization that we do. We really find ourselves speaking to the 40, 50, 60-year old, that is looking to get their health back, that's looking to turn back the clock, and feel better, look better, obviously, but So what are, some final messages that you have for those type of people?
Yeah, wow, big pressure on that. Final message is it's really never too late to start. I actually prefer to train the older people. And I actually just recently started training a woman named Denise. She's had 2 sessions so far, and every session so far she said, "Is there any hope for me?"
Oh.
I'm like, "That is so dramatic, Denise. Like, just settle down." But after one session, she told me she came back the next day. And she's like, "I just want to let you know, I got on the floor yesterday with my grandkids, and I got up myself." And I was like, "Denise, I asked you when the last time when you got on the floor was, and you, like, couldn't remember,
Yeah.
and you just shot your shot down there." And she's like, "Yeah, and I got up." And I was like, "Well, thank God, but that's amazing."
It's amazing. Yeah. And that's the
And it was
confidence.
after one session, just the confidence of her coming in, moving her body again, like, it really is, like, it's never too late to start. There's always something that you can do, even if it's one workout a week, there's gonna be lasting effects that you'll see with your health down the line.
Awesome. Thank you, Hannah. It was an amazing conversation. I'm sure we'll have some more. And yeah, if you do us a favor, like and share this episode, subscribe if you're on YouTube, and we're just trying to spread as much information, good information about training as we possibly can. And thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.
Thanks, kids.